toroids on the fuel injector lines. And I was
to properly ionize your fuel in the right uniform direction. Oh yeah, much better.
Well,
gas mileage.
he was getting noise on his radio. So what he did is he took a real long piece of coax and took the antenna like 20 feet away from the car, and it was fine. But as he brought it towards the car, it'd start to pick up all this noise and interference. It was not alternator line. But I was like, I didn't think a fuel injector line was long enough to toroid wrap. So I was like, maybe Snap-ons, but I've never heard.
That's interesting.
I was like, I've never heard.
I wouldn't be taking them off to wrap something.
Yeah. So what I told him is the first thing I would do is make sure your antenna is properly grounded. Then I would look at bonding all of the big pieces of metal of your car together. And then if that was still a problem, then maybe look at the fuel injector lines. But I'd never heard of fuel injector lines being a problem.
Well, two things that I noticed when I first put a radio in my truck, I didn't actually wire it in. I had it plugged in the cigarette lighter plug. And holy moly, the noise, especially when I transmitted. And then when I rewired it to the battery, problem went away. So that's kind of goes with your grounding, I think.
Yeah. Did you run both the positive and the negative to the battery? Because sometimes people don't do that.
I did.
No, I've got the ground. The ground's going to the frame, and the positive's going to the battery.
I put them both to the battery, but to your point, the radio is grounded, the antenna is grounded, so it's grounded. There's got multiple paths to ground, and people are like, you need to put that fuse in there. But if you ground to the frame, or like your antenna's your ground, or the radio that's mounted to the chassis underneath the dash or something like that, you have more than one path to ground. So like it really doesn't matter, right?
The ground wire with the ground of the antenna being connected to the chassis, which is then connected to the negative terminal on the radio and run all the way back to the battery, you've got a longer counterpoise too.
Well, what people say is that if the main chassis ground becomes detached for whatever reason, then the entire car's electrical system will now ground through your radio.
Yeah.
And that can
and you'll have tons of problems besides just bad radio signals.
Well, yeah, right. I would say you're going to have
check engine light will come on.
Worse problems than the radio at that point.
You run your code scanner, you got 30,000 codes because all your sensors just went dark.
Right. You just smoked a $5,000 little dingus that gets plugged in the dashboard or something. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And then the other thing, what else was I going to say? I don't
Getting
remember.
old, Jim.
Yes, I am.
Tell us that story you already told us again.
No, there was another thing about the radio we were talking about, and I forgot what I was going to say about it. But anyway.
Well, when you don't have HF, this guy was using HF, which is a lot more
I'm not
expensive.
using. Oh, I remember what it was. Back in my installing car stereo days, in all the shitbox cars I owned, somebody had told me at one point, and I don't remember the value, put this capacitor across the positive and negative. And that solved the whine problem in the stereo. Because that's going to block the AC, right? Completely.
Is that a lighter, Chuck? Are you setting mood lighting for the stream?
No, I was going to adjust my camera, and I decided not to.
What is chakras aligned?
Is AC, though, in the car?
Well, I don't know.
Alternating current?
I mean, I don't know.
Is that what you're asking?
Because like when this guy was telling me about this problem, I was thinking AC currents because he was saying it's around a 50 to 60 hertz sound. But I'm like, there's no AC in the car. Now, if you have a car that has a inverter, like a lot of cars these days do come with inverters, right?
Yeah.
But like back in the day, Jim, when you're talking about, it's like when I used to put car stereos in, nobody had inverters in their car.
No, We're talking a 68 Bug and a 75 Vega, a 67 Mercury. I mean,
back when the stereo was the most important part, right?
Yes, the stereo was worth way more than the car was.
Hack's got it right here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I saw that come up. I was going to mention that. That's exactly right.
My 4Runner gets the whine from the alternator, I think.
Yes, that's
on the CB. On the CB, I just turn the squelch down. I don't hear it no more. I don't care.
Used a noise blanker. Oh, that's right. It's a CB. Sorry.
Does that go?
Yeah.
Does that?
It has noise blanker too, I think.
Does that whine go out on transmit?
No, not that I know of.
So it's something the radio's picking up just in the audio.
Yeah, it's just circuit. When you turn the engine off, it's fine.
Well, the
Yeah,
thing
what
is
I
that
had-
your alternator creates an
It-
electromagnetic field, right? And then
Yeah.
the power line that you actually run to your battery is acting as an antenna.
Yeah.
So you can toroid wrap the power line that goes in, and that might
Yeah,
help.
I just never did.
Yeah. Well, you know, doesn't the
The guys-
alternator isn't the alternator AC?
I don't know.
Well, it charges
Yeah.
DC.
Well, I mean, you could
It
have a
might be.
converter, right?
It's multi-phase. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, I'm not
AC,
entirely sure. Steve's more the car guy than I am, for sure. Does he?
The
do you
guys,
know?
the
I've
guys
never
I
measured.
wheeled with didn't know how to use a CB because they turned the squelch all the way up so they didn't hear any noise, and then they couldn't hear you from 30 feet away.
The guys
like,
you
I can't
wield
hear you.
with.
I'm like,
what are you
really?
wielding, Chuck?
I don't know.
It-
what
Four
he's-
wheel.
Pistols,
four-wheel drive.
swords. Oh, wheeling, not wielding.
wheeling.
As old as Chuck is, it might be maces and halberds.
Right.
You know, a bunch of guys, we four-wheel, we rock crawl, and it's like we couldn't hear you. I'm like, yeah, I know why.
So my volume is lower than everybody else.
Yeah, and
That's
you're
by
boosted all the
design.
way in StreamYard. So it's your hardware.
Yeah.
And Ape was really hot earlier.
Your
Not
hardware
looking,
is
but just
this
Ape,
morning.
Ape
Jim.
is kind of
Mike.
hot.
Always
I'm
hot.
just gonna say, no homo, but he's kind of hot.
Man crush.
All right. Well, I turned it up, and I'm pinging in the middle of the yellow here, so I don't know.
Hey, we got like 4 weeks till Dayton.
Yeah,
oh, is that all? Shit.
that is it.
Shoot.
1 month from today.
I got to build
there's,
some antennas.
Lon
Yeah,
has
you've
said
been late
there-
on that one.
There is AC, but there's a rectifier in the alternator case.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, there you
I was
go.
thinking it was going to be AC. Yeah, my plans for Dayton have changed. I'm now in Wisconsin to avoid the tornado belt. So anybody looking to carpool from Northwest Wisconsin, y'all let me know.
Are you bumming a ride? Is that what you're asking?
It's going to cost me
Please?
about $800 to drive Great White down there.
What about a
Oh,
rental?
wow.
Yeah, I looked at a rental, $170 for a Ford Focus for the trip.
Bless your
So
heart.
it's going to be cheaper to rent it than it is to
Yeah,
drive.
well, that's not that. That's really not that bad. I was waiting to hear 175 a day for some big old SUV or something like that.
There's a website called Turo, Turo. It's a misspelling of tour, and you can rent cars from regular folk like us, and you get regular cars, or you can get really, really ridiculously, like go out to Vegas and rent a Dodge Viper.
Right.
Yeah, so
Or you can get
you
a
can
electric car or something.
yeah, that's how I rented the Tesla for the Grand Canyon trip.
Oh
Which-
my God.
It would have been fine if I, had more access to the car than I was given.
TC Fitz. Thank you, brother.
TC
TC,
Fitz is here.
Appreciate it, buddy.
FC.
I would say I just wouldn't. I could never disrespect my ancestors by driving an electronic car. I just couldn't.
I think the first cars were electric, and then we switched over to steam, and then we switched over to gasoline or something like that. I'm not sure if it was electric steam gas
I
or
don't
if it was
remember.
steam electric gas, but
Chuck, do you
electric
remember you
cars
were
are-
there, right?
No, that would
He
be
doesn't
that would have
remember.
been you. Might have been you.
He's 1 year older than me.
So here's Joe Brett.
Just-
Let's get
just
this.
by
Let's just
actual
get,
age, not
good morning, Joe
just
Brett,
Joseph.
our good friend. Let's just get it out in the air. So Tio wanted to buy an ATOS antenna, if I heard correctly,
Camcourt, yep.
and then Jim snuck
Andy.
in while Tio wasn't looking and bought the ATOS.
Well, to
That
be
is his
fair,
pos-
now the guy that I bought it from is
Andy.
from Iowa, and he's sketchy.
Andy.
He
Andy.
is a little sketchy.
I mean, you met
Put
the
Andy
guy.
on the witness stand here in a minute.
Well, so the next thing that happened is that Jim sold the antenna to
Never
Joe.
used it either, which is kind of classic Jim.
Never
also.
even opened the box yet.
And so
Didn't even open the box.
so
Sniped
he
it,
didn't know,
swiped it,
if it
and
was
sent
in
it.
there. Did Joe Brett pay you already? His funds been transferred,
Yes.
and now Joe Brett's
They-
claiming he never got the antenna. Is that the story?
Good man, Joe Brett.
What it is the story. UPS is like, we don't know where it is. We can't find it.
I
Somewhere
suspect
between-
it was delivered.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right? None of them have the ATOS.
Nobody has an ATOS.
I don't want it
that's right.
anymore.
At least
I'm
Tio
fine.
didn't pay for it.
I
fine.
personally think TO might have infiltrated the UPS
I'm
system
fine.
and redirected the package.
I think
It's fine.
the Jim should refund Joe Brett until it shows
coming
up.
is-
I mean, that just seems to be the
I
right thing
already
to do.
actually, Joe Brett and I have already financially made arrangements.
Populated.
Well, I would have told him if it was me though. I would have been like, "Son, you need to call the UPS man. I already put that in the mail. You got a tracking number."
You got a tracking number, and it left.
What I would have done is I would have just mailed
Where'd
the
you wanna
box to
leave?
Joe Brett opened and not put the antenna in there.
You see what I'm dealing with here, JB? I mean, you know,
Like,
he's sketchier than Andy.
you need to talk to the mailman. Guy's got to pay for it twice when he finds out.
That's right.
That's what you get, Joe Brett.
Well, both of us lost out on that deal. I ain't got no ATOS. Joe Brett ain't got no ATOS. Neither one of us are happy about it, but we're both equally unhappy at this point.
Morning, Marvin.
Morning,
Marvin, how are you?
Marvin. T.O., are you at your property? Is that where you're at?
No. The property that I have up here, I don't have good access to get this thing in from the highway. I need to like redo the entire entrance in order to get in there.
I'm just wondering.
And then there wouldn't be any services, which I can do for, a week or so, no problem. But anything longer than that becomes an evolution.
We got 8,000 amp hours now, don't you?
At least. Plus another 8,000 in the mail.
And you got 800 watts on top, or no, 400 watts. You only have 400 watts.
400 on top, 400 on the side.
And the
Dave,
side will do better most
What
of
are
the
you up to? You've been kind of quiet lately.
Who, me?
Yeah, you're the only one
traveling,
on
man.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, I was traveling. I was in Texas for
Texas.
about a week.
Was that a?
And I
that
was
a
in
work
Nebraska
trip?
last week.
It was a work trip, and I got to tell you, man, when in Texas, everybody down there is drinking tequila all the time, and
Closer to the tequila source.
yeah, and so
It's right over the border, man.
That's my one big takeaway is all the tequila that everybody's down there drinking.
I'm not a huge tequila fan.
I'm not really either, but I sure was having a good time when I was drinking it. But
I like it.
Okay.
So, and steaks,
Having
it was
a good
tequila
time.
and steaks every day.
Drinking that muddy water. Or what was it called?
Ranch water.
Ranch
So
water.
it's like 2 ounces of tequila, ounce and a half of lime, and then Topo Chico mineral water.
Chico, made by Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
Fancy
they're actually
mineral water.
really, really good. And we were getting the spicy ones so they take the tequila and they infuse like hatch chilies in there, which is kind of like a cross
Nice.
between an Anaheim and a jalapeno. And it
like
was
hatch chilies.
it
They're
was
smooth.
fantastic. Couldn't get enough of them, but yeah, I've been super busy with that. And plus, I had to do my taxes, so I've just been busy not making videos.
I hate taxes. Everybody hates taxes.
Yeah.
Charles, what do you?
I
What
get
do you
your
got
money's
going
worth
on?
out of them taxes.
Well,
You got a
I did a
two-meter
video the other
moxie
day.
built yet, Chuck?
Oh, my moccasins are all built, but I did that video on that little
Let me
antenna
see.
thing I did.
We don't need
It's
to know
kind of like an impasse, and I burned that thing up. Or I
The one
melted
you
it, I should say.
You melted the
So
plastic.
now
fingers?
I'm printing one without. It's just basically set up for doing. I mean, for 20 meters, all you need is some way to hook up your thing. So I'm printing one out right now. That'll just be basically something to hook, like a whip to, and then I got a video coming out on. I'm getting ready to go down to the crash course thing.
When is that?
Working. The
That's not
third.
loud enough. I can hear you tapping it, but it ain't very loud.
I know, and I've got the gain turned up on this.
You've
side.
actually gone quieter.
40 or
Well,
50 people
I'm
there. I don't
holding
know.
it now, and it's a lav mic.
TC Fitz will be there, I think.
I don't know, is
Actually,
this any
see him
different?
again.
It looks different here.
That was better.
Better.
It did sound better for a second there.
Well, I'm moving it around, Chuck. How's that? Y'all in the chat? Is this better?
It's weak.
Weak sauce.
Man, I don't know.
It's
I've got this
about
thing
this loud right here.
jacked up.
Now we're about the
You
same.
should be kissing
Maybe.
red, not touching yellow.
Oh, I'm kissing red. I ain't touching
Not here,
cotton,
you're
that's
not.
for sure.
Like I'm sitting here
I
playing
hope
cards
not.
with my brother's kids or something.
Every day, man.
Sons
Every
of
day.
bitches. It's like I'm sitting here playing cards.
All right. Like a goldfish.
Yeah, like a goldfish. So that's about it.
T.O., what do you got going on?
Like I said, I moved up to Wisconsin to avoid the storms. I drove through Nebraska. I waved. I don't recall waving back, but
You should have stopped by. We could have had some barbecue.
Yeah, I got some stuff for sale. I finished up the tour of the ICOM IC7100, so that one's for sale now. Y'all hit me up in Discord or send me a message if you're looking for one. I got a bunch of accessories with it, including the original box because I take care of stuff.
Well, you kept the box because you knew it was a part of the investment.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Got to pass it on in good condition.
I have
I'm a
two-
hamcester.
I have 2 boxes for 2 radios. I got a box for the ICOM that I bought, and I got a box for the 9700. It's the only 2 ham boxes I have.
They're going to charge you a restocking fee to add to the rape and insult that they gave you. Did you figure
I
that
don't
out?
know. I'm sure they will.
Are you sending it back or are you keeping it?
I don't like it.
But you don't, in all fairness, you don't really like anything though, right?
Right. I don't.
He doesn't.
He likes
He's a
Windows.
ham.
I mean,
It's real ham.
the screen looks really good, but you can't. The biggest thing with that radio is you can't set the power levels different per channel. UHF can have a different power level than VHF, and it'll maintain them. But if you're on VHF channels on both VFOs, they at the same power level.
Wow.
So if you are talking on high power on 5.2, for example, and then you switch over to your All-Star node in the truck, you're going to
Blow it
melt
up.
something.
Yeah. Start smoking.
So you that's really odd. I mean, I totally believe you, but that is odd.
I have tried every way possible, and I've done manual testing. I think I did it in the video.
Yeah. Can you program that into the channel, the power level?
Nope.
So you can just change channel?
Nope.
Nope.
So
That's
you're
what I'm
saying that it's not a channel setting, it's a VFO, it's a
it is a
it's actually radio.
global band setting. Yeah,
Wow.
Should have got a Retevis. It comes with a mounting bracket.
right.
Yeah, I'm
it
not so
does
sure
come with a
about all
mounting
that.
bracket. I don't have to 3D
Yeah.
print the hardware that should have been in the damn box. That's right.
Almost most radios come with them out. Oh, that's right, except for ICOMs.
I mean, I
Apparently.
had the same experience with my 7300. When I bought it, it would not transmit brand new out of the box. I had to do a factory reset on a unused radio. That was not a happy day for me.
When
No,
I bought
that's
a
not what
used
you wanna
radio
do.
from Jim, I had to do a factory reset on it because it wouldn't transmit.
You had to also disinfect it.
Yeah. I set it out in the sun. I let what they call that, sun bleaching, solar bleaching.
Yeah. Same thing you do for
For
the
the-
COVID.
Right.
Get rid of the cigarette smell too.
I don't think Jim had it very long though. Is that Yates?
Oh, not long enough.
I had it a couple months, and it was out in the shop. It was sitting over there with the oscilloscope stuff, and I don't smoke by the
847.
oscilloscopes and stuff. Yeah. Have you ever used it yet?
Yeah. I probably need to. I need to set it up again. It's sitting here, doesn't have an antenna connected, but it has great receive audio. I like it quite a bit.
I don't know if this is a microphone problem or what is going on.
You're
Or if
loud
it's
now.
something-
But the problem with the 847 though is that all the buttons, it's all button driven. There's not a lot of menus on it. The buttons are super tiny. So like my fat hands, when I get in there, I hit more than one button, but I can't read the text to tell me what the buttons are. You know what I'm saying? So I got to hold the magnifying
That's like
glass
the
in
first
front of
problem.
the damn thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That is the
It's-
same problem I have.
No,
And
it's
you just
quiet.
went quieter, but Thump called
Yeah,
you a
go
Swede.
on.
Thump is a Swede.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as soon as Jim gets his audio corrected, we will begin the show talking
Is
about
this-
all the digital.
Is this any
things.
better?
You're
I
still
guess.
talking.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, they're still saying in the chat they can't hear me.
No, that's good
You're
right
fine.
there. At least in my ear.
Tio
I mean,
hasn't messed with the audio settings any.
They're saying much better, much better.
Much better. Okay.
good enough. Liberty said they didn't want to hear you anyhow, but so I wouldn't take that one.
Liberty is a grumpy old man like you and me, Charles, and Ape.
Liberty's he was always
not
happy
Steve.
when I talked to him. He was down in Arizona. He was all happy.
He's a grumpy. We're all grumpy old men. Just
Well, I mean, it's hard to
Embrace
be
it.
unhappy in Arizona.
embrace it. Cooley said I sound good. Lon said I sound good. Okay. Bryant Wally said they hear me fine. Some people are watching in the past. That's right. Don't dwell in the past. You're not.
No, you're
my
definitely
wife.
louder now. Whatever you did.
You're not my wife. Quit dwelling on the past.
They put that stuff in the vault, man.
Oh yeah.
They do.
To remember when to bring it out. If
It's
she heard
on a
me, she-
timer though. It's one of those timed vaults that opens every 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I have the 14-year-old thing in the vault that's just never going to go away. Oh my God. Anyway, all right. So I don't have slides. prepared, and this is not a lecture.
outta
There
here.
will be no didactic for this episode of Coffee and Ham Radio.
God, there's no slides.
I don't mind slides. Just don't read slides. Slides are fine. I use them all the time when I taught class, but
Well, it's the universal way to communicate thought, which I get escapes certain people, but it's the de facto standard.
you are a master
Just
of slides.
Reverse
You would
trolling
have done
works
well in
every
the
time.
military because the military loves the PowerPoint. They don't
Everybody
take
does.
They don't take a dump without a PowerPoint in the military.
You print it out and take it with you so you
That's
can
right.
follow the proper procedure.
All right, now I will
No, it's how to
squeeze
follow the
hard,
procedure. Yeah.
then back off the hard squeeze. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about HF digital modes. And when you talk about digital, everybody generally, I think, thinks of D-Star, DMR, Fusion, so on and so forth, P25. Because when you're buying an HT, it's like, do you want digital or not? And so that's kind of a big delineator there. But there's a whole ton of HF digital modes available, and one that's been around for 100 years, arguably. This may stir somebody up in the chat. It may stir Ape up. I'm hoping not. CW is a digital mode.
No, it's not.
Okay. See, there we go. I got one OM going already.
It's not digital because it doesn't use digital signaling.
It's a
It
binary
uses-
mode, right?
It's-
No, it's definitely not binary.
Well, it's either
Me-
long or
meaning-
short.
or on or off, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Well-
binary is 8 bits that form a letter. CW is 2 distinct units that are used in multiple variations of
But I think you might be confusing
combination.
like base 8 and hexadecimal and all that shit with binary. Binary is on or off.
Binary's on or off, yes, but then you need to encode it into a uniform transmission standard.
Here we go.
And CW
All right.
is 1 or,
Or
up
0,
to
right?
5. Like the difference between an E and a 0 is 5 units.
I mean, I think it's more like EBCDIC or something like that. It's not specifically, extended binary coded decimal.
I would give you
I
that
see.
RIDI is binary. It's a 5-bit encoding, the Baudot code,
Yeah.
because it's always 5 bits.
I think we're going to have to get Siri involved here.
I think somebody needs to be Googling that. Well, I mean, that was actually the purpose of the show, but damn, what
To
a
argue?
good start.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
good start. I mean,
Binary number is a number expressed as a base 2 number system or binary numeral system. The method for representing
2,
these numbers
yeah.
uses 2 symbols, typically a 0 and a 1.
and in CW, it's a short and a long.
Right, and then hexadecimal is when you
I'll have
have
to break out the PowerPoint to explain
9
it to you all better, because
positions.
apparently you can't hear, you can only read.
Well, dude, you just I think you were conflating binary with hexadecimal.
No,
No,
I
I'm
don't
saying that
think
it's not binary or hexadecimal, which
It's-
is why it's not digital.
it's hard to argue that one because it's really splitting hairs, in my opinion, anyway. And I'm the one that started this turd storm.
Right.
Mhm.
But I mean, if you look at it as short and long, which is binary, it's either a did or a da. But then it's a combination of short and longs, which makes it kind of not.
It's a variable length combinations. That's where it fails the test.
Yeah, it's not true binary, but it depends on how you want to look. If you've been drinking, it's totally binary.
Well, that's what the OM say.
You're
is
hot
that
when I drink.
CW is the original digital mode.
I'm hot all the time. Right. That's right. Well, and when we rate antennas, when you look up an antenna, they will tell you 100 watts, like on our antennas, the Poseidon or whatever. And by the way, Chuck, get that commercial queued up, son. We're talking about 100 watts sideband and 50 watts digital, CW or digital. So it is a higher duty cycle than sideband, and it's about the
Well,
same
our
duty
duty
cycle as
cycle would, yeah.
digital. Yeah.
Well, a lot of antennas they don't even tell you what the digital.
So
rating
it
is
says
on.
yes, CW continuous wave or Morse code is considered a digital mode of communication.
Who says this?
IASIS.
Who's this source?
AI, man. AI says
AI
it's
knows
true. It's
everything.
got to be true. It's got to be
Did you
true.
read the disclaimer at the bottom that says it may be wrong? Check your sources.
Well, I got to tell you,
Didn't
and
say
I'm
that.
not going to call
Didn't
him
say
out
that.
directly, but there was a ham that was trying to explain impedance and resonance, and he was using AI to solidify his point. So these large language data models learn from ingesting information from certain places. one time these companies were pointing their AI engines towards Reddit, and then they were becoming inherently racist, believing it as actual fact. Racism is fact versus opinion.
Microsoft's Twitter bot, yeah.
And what this person was showing was not the correct definitions for impedance and resonance, but it had learned from, I guess, tribal think and just ham mythology that it is not technically
Right.
accurate. And so
Right.
I didn't
Can't spell resonance. RESIDENTS. Residence.
Right, like
I have
the
a
hotel,
resident
right?
antenna. Yeah, it
The
lives in the
resident- the
bedroom
resident
next to
thing.
me. Yeah.
but
Oh,
My
then
antenna
Google-
is resident outside the door.
Google
got a
Group
resident
says it's
antenna.
not a digital mode. So you got two opinions.
yeah, so AI is the free version that all of you people are using. It hallucinates.
Oh, you
Let's call
people.
it you
hallucinates
out.
regularly. It's not worth using.
Well, I asked ChatGPT where the smoking ape lives, and he said his real name is Donnie, and he don't
Right.
live in Nebraska. He lives in Albuquerque and manages the Cinnabon there.
The Cinnabon's
it's
actually
sick.
pretty nice.
Well, the manager would say that, wouldn't he?
Right? Right? See? Evidence. QED. He's in Albuquerque. He's not in Nebraska. He's been lying to us this whole time.
I've been in Albuquerque. I don't miss
Speaking
it.
of grumpy OMs, here's Hank. What's up, buddy? He
Hey,
has his
Hank, good
residence.
His residence antenna.
That is a legal statement to make, but you can't say your
Legal?
antenna is resident
That means he's using the antenna at his house.
in that
right? His house.
context. Yes.
Yeah,
My antenna is never disassembled or put away. It is resident in my backyard.
right. Anyway, so moving on from CW, man, I didn't know that would get that kind of reaction. Steve was a little triggered on that one. I mean, Chuck pulled out the
Tom, I
AI.
used to
This
like
was
you.
serious.
Well, I got
See?
two answers though. So
Tom, we appeal to authority. Tom has validated. CW is
Well, before we go on, so like let me just give you an example of why this is so confusing sometimes, right? What's the square root of 9?
3.
Anybody else want to take a guess?
I don't math. My 5th grade math
Three.
teacher ruined me for math.
Right, because and we say that's 3 because 3 times 3 is 9, right? Square roots. What about -3 times -3?
That's going to be
It's gonna be
0.
9.
9?
Break out the
Yeah.
calculator. -3 times -3 is
Two
9.
negatives. Two negatives make a positive. Yeah, that's right.
So the thing is that sometimes there's more than one answer.
Yeah.
It's
See, we
confusing
have
as
4
that can-
negatives here.
Well, four negatives make an awesome positive. I mean, I don't know. I kind of missed most of geometry and algebra
4
too
works.
because I was busy. But math is not my forte.
He was busy playing in the pocket pool league.
No, never mind. One teed itself up there so well. You would have needed a lot of cream to put out that burn, but I'm not going to do it. It's a family show, more or less. It's like listening to your dad and his friends drinking beer, talking crap.
Right.
So anyway, there's a whole ton of digital modes. Everybody does FT8 or hates FT8. It seems to be kind of binary in and of itself because you have a whole bunch of folks. I think all of us do FT8. I know T.O. does, and I've seen a call sign that might or might not have been the Smoking Ape, maybe potentially on a band one day, possibly.
I mostly use Joe Brett's call sign.
And maybe that's why the accent seemed different when I was doing FT8. I'm like, that don't sound like Joe Brett.
But he even has an accent on FTA.
He's talking in Yankee. But there is a ton of digital modes. And so there's FT8, which is 3,000 hertz wide. And Steve, jump in here because you know more about some of these other modes than I do by far. And I don't know much about almost all of them. And then it's a transmit receive cycle, 15 seconds a piece. And you send CQ, you receive call sign and signal level, you report the same thing back, and then y'all say bye and you've moved on. And that's a total of, what is a whole cycle? So it'd be about 2 minutes for a full cycle.
It's about 2 minutes. It depends. Like some people put that extra 73 in there.
Yeah. I thought I was
And
trying
then
to.
the Japanese cut the TX1 macro off altogether.
Right.
And people get upset over that stuff. And I'm like, who cares? If there's one more extra exchange or one less, who cares?
Depends on how fast you're trying.
Right. And then FT4 is essentially the same thing, except on a higher speed cycle. It's on a what, a 7.5 second cycle or something like that. Steve, is that right? On
Yeah.
FT4, it's half the
7.5
time at
instead of
FT8.
15. Yep.
That's right, LC. You're using your digits with CW. It's digital mode.
Right. So you got
I
a
can go
digital. Never mind. Never mind.
I'd leave it. Leave it. Anyway, if you look at WSJTX, and I have a live view of WSJTX up at the moment, there are, and this is something I started to explore one time, and then I don't know, I forgot what day it was, and I moved on.
Forgot to take the antenna out of the box before you
Right.
sold it out from underneath
Right.
of me. I'm not bitter.
Somebody's bitter a little bit about that ATOS that no one's seen.
I'm fine. I'm fine, Jim. I'm fine.
Somebody buy that man a biscuit. So FT8, FT4. The other one that is common and used in WSJTX is probably going to be Whisper.
I've
which
done
is
that.
Yeah. A low power signal reporting kind of thing. There's a transmit cycle that's, I think, 2 minutes long on this, and you set your radio as low as you can and go with it.
What is this, weak signal propagation reporter?
That's
So
it. Weak signal propagation reporter. That's right. So that's one that's probably commonly used in WSJTX. And, I've had, I think we've talked about it on here, but I know I did a video on it, and I think Chuck did too. The Zactec box is nothing. That's all it does is whisper on multiple bands. You program it. It doesn't need to be powered up or anything other than USB power, and it'll sit there and do whisper as long as you want. But you can also do that in here, and then you can see the transactions back and forth. And you want it set to low power because it is weak signal, and it's going to key down for like 2 minutes.
And that's not like 10 watts, right? That's like in the milliwatts is where you're supposed to be
Yes.
transmitting with that stuff.
Yeah, the Zactec box is like a quarter watt, 250 milliwatts for
Yeah.
that box. So yeah. And I've had a buddy of mine tell me that he doesn't think he could get his radio to go less than a watt, which is 4 times more than you need to be putting out on a whisper. So that would be a case for an attenuator. for
Yaesus
sure.
are 5 watts. They won't go below 5.
On the
At least
minimum?
ones I have.
I think
Yeah.
he had a Yaesu. I don't remember the number, Chuck, but I knew
Well,
he
my
couldn't get it.
817 does below 5 watts.
Yeah, that's probably the only that one that I know of.
because of
No.
the age on it.
No, because it's a QRP radio, so that one
Okay.
that one will go lower.
Well, where it gets tough is like, so, and I'm not hating, but radios like the G90, they are like, when you turn that rodeo, I can't even say the encoder.
Yeehaw!
Yeah.
The rodeo knob.
Encoder.
What is the word? I can't say.
Rotary encoder.
That's it,
Encoder.
rotary encoder. Right. So when you turn that, though, I think each click is a watt. So you
Okay.
can't.
Oh.
So where it became a little bit of a challenge for me is that when I was messing around with the amplifier, that Neptune amplifier, I can only go in increments of 1 when I was messing with it. And sometimes you need 1.5 watts, not 2 watts, because it'll drive the amplifier differently.
Watts not enough, and too much.
And 2 watts is too much, right?
And 2 watts is 2 watts too many. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'm curious about, and you guys in the chat, pipe up, what are some of these modes in here that you've used? T.O., I think you've played with a bunch of these, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
Well, which ones? Talk about some of them that you've messed
Well,
with.
I mean,
'cause I don't
I'm
know.
curious. I'll click a button and hit the enable button and just see
Let's
what
do it.
happens. But I haven't been good at them. I mean, pick up JT65. We got about 15 minutes to kill.
Well, that's
Right.
like for 1 transmission, right?
Yeah, it's a 60-second transmission. You can see it at the bottom.
But isn't that like one of the EME modes, though?
Yeah.
Is it JT65?
And then there's a new one in there, the Q one, Q65. I've never used it, but I think that's one of the new ones.
Well, let's just give that one a shot. And
That's
if
you don't
30
have-
seconds.
doesn't like that
Yes.
frequency. Let me see. Oh, Lordy.
Oh, it's all VHF.
Yeah.
Nice.
No wonder it complained
I
about
think
that.
I think this is all for EME. But
Yeah, I
like
thought
I've
it said EME in here somewhere, but I don't see EME. Is that Echo?
You need your 700 watt 440 amplifier.
Yeah. Huh. So JT65, you said it is a lengthy mode.
Yeah, you see the timer at the bottom, 60 seconds per over.
Okay.
So I
Whisper's
wouldn't be
not
putting a
longer
whole lot
than
of
that,
power
right?
out of that.
You what, T.O.?
I wouldn't be putting a whole lot of power out of that. 60 seconds key down.
Yeah.
Are we on the flex?
FT8. That's a lot.
Yeah, we're on the flex.
We're on the flex with the amp.
Amp's turned off at the
With
moment.
the amp.
I don't like FT4. I don't know if that's dramatic or not. It's too
Well,
fast.
It's too fast.
Just it moves too fast. I can't click that fast.
Well, normally, like I click, I take a sip of my beer. Sometimes I take a quick pee. But FT4 is just too fast.
Don't have time. Just don't have time for it, huh?
I only
'Cause he
think
like-
it's too fast because it's not what I'm used to, right?
Oh.
And I
Well,
think
you like to
FT4
stress
is
it.
cool for contesting, especially because it's so much faster.
I think it's
But
funny.
I
It got
like-
that contest wrap, and then everybody stays off of it unless it's contest day, and then it's full. Like if you're trying to make FT4 contacts on a Tuesday afternoon, ain't nobody there.
I ain't seen nobody on this yet,
Yeah.
but we've only been through, one receive cycle, I think, in the last 2 minutes.
But you might not even, like there might be rules around the frequency you're supposed to use. You know what I mean? Like if you're not familiar with the mode, sometimes you just never know.
Well, I'm assuming, so right here, 20 meters is at 14076 instead of 14074. So WSJT is
far
adjusting the
off.
frequency for me. I don't know about rules, but at 15 meters has been really good for FT8 lately. Let me get a waterfall up here. I don't even know if we have anything. Where the hell's the waterfall?
Is Chuck frozen or is he? Okay, there he is.
No, I'm just listening,
Taking a
man.
nap.
Just listening. No, my buddy wants me to send him a picture. Or something.
Look at all them programs you got open.
Oh, he gave me crap for that.
It's funny to watch an old man try to use Windows.
It also looks like it transmits a wider blob too, Steve.
Yep. I mean, they are different encoding schemes.
Right. So we'll turn
Was
on
that
TX.
200K? Is that what that is? Each one of those marks is 100K, right?
Yeah. 500. Yeah. 200. It looks like it's a little less than 200.
Just enough to argue about.
Well, it's not.
There's no way that's 200K, boy.
So while that's cooking, and then you also have, and I think I've got it loaded on here. Yeah. You also have programs like FL Digi, and as well as if you want to spend the money on a 1997 interface, Ham Radio Deluxe has DM780 Digital Master. I don't know what the 780 part references, but and it does every freaking variation of FSK, MSK, PSK, QSK, QPQSK, KGBSK. I don't know.
Well, I've never used FL. This is FL
FL
Digi.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've used it, and I've watched some videos on it, and it seems like there is a lot of settings that you need to go through here.
Yeah, you got to tinker with the audio settings. That's on all this stuff. That's going to be super critical because, you remember how much you had to screw around with ALC on your ICOM 7300 when you first started doing FT8,
Mhm.
tweaking that. And then that kind of varies between radios. So obviously you don't want to blast out there super wide or anything like that. But I mean, there's a ton of modes that this stuff does. There's straight up weather facts. Throb. I got nothing on that. And you can see for each mode, there's a ton of variations of the mode.
Your wife would agree.
Right.
I've never
he
done
said
RIDI. I
Throb.
don't know if that makes me a bad person or not, but
I
So
did.
you ain't done real ham radio if you ain't done RIDI.
yeah, there's no RIDI in WSJTX,
No.
right? Like you have to use this or a RIDI specific app.
something that has RTTY in it. Yeah,
But your ICOM decodes RTTY natively.
Yeah.
right. I don't know what the
think they
hell they
all
were
do.
thinking when they decided to put that feature in and not decode CW.
Oh, it's
In the
just a
set.
bunch of E's and T's, man.
That's right.
That's all
Yeah.
you get with a CW decoder.
I've never seen a CW decoder that worked super well. That's true.
Well,
Two.
that's
I've
the
got-
that's the
I
thing.
got
Like,
two that do.
Yeah.
that work.
You know what?
Are you saying that they could decode Jim CW?
Nobody can decode my CW.
Okay, well,
I
I'm,
like it.
okay, it may not go that far,
Well, he hasn't
I
sent
can't-
any, so
I can't. I sent it to myself.
but no,
Shut
my Elecraft is real easy because it has an automatic speed thing already built into it. I asked when I was talking to Elecraft about that, it works really good. He goes, well, because it detects the speed. The Yaesu works great as long as you get the speed right and the signals. I mean, the signal has to be fairly strong too for it to work. But
I've never seen one.
I
that
sent
really
TO a
works
bunch
well.
of stuff one day. I was like, what is this? And it was the thing that ARRL puts out. I think it was computer generated or something. Somebody puts out it's computer generated though. And did it work? Well, you don't have a Yaesu. So how would you?
I've got the Yaesu 874.
I don't know if that one does.
I've
though.
got the Yaesu 817.
Those radios may not do it though.
I don't
I don't think they do. It's not every Yaesu does it. My 710 doesn't do it.
I'm trying to remember.
My 3000 does.
I don't think I have any other Yaesus.
Does one of you boys have a QDX? Hax is asking if it does FSK only.
he's replying to James. I've got one. I just don't remember. I think it is FSK only. It was kind of designed as a FT8 radio.
Yeah, I got one
Yeah.
in a box.
And FT8 is FSK, is it not?
Yeah.
The encoding on it. So you can see with something like this guy's got even more modes. And when I started Hammond, this was one of the first things I played with until I went down the rabbit hole of Ham Radio Deluxe, and it made me sadder after I paid money for that. But it does a lot of these different modes, and they have contests for these modes. There's a Hellschreiber contest. I've seen Olivia contests. There's a mode called Contestia, for crying out loud. If that doesn't scream, I'm a contest mode, I don't know what does. So the point is there's a whole lot of digital modes that are available.
Look at how many Contestias there are.
Yeah,
Somebody was contesting the Contestia.
I reckon.
You can even
And-
put a custom one in there.
And I guess, and Steve, I don't know if you know, or Ape, Chuck, one of you guys, but what is the difference here? What is this telling me?
I would
on some of these
assume
modes.
that is the number of key shifts or something to do with bandwidth, but I'm thinking it's a number of shift
Characters,
keying.
maybe?
Yeah, but that's frequency shifting, and then like PSK is the phase.
Yeah.
Phase shift, that's right.
But I'm
So
I'm
if you
not
look at
exactly
this on
sure
your
how that works.
oscilloscope, the MSK4, you'll see 4 points in each quadrant, and then MSK8, you'll see 2 points
8
in each
points.
quadrant, and so on
Okay.
and so on and so on.
Hmm.
And those points are the digits in your digital mode, the binars.
The binars. So some of these is also the speed, for example, because and I think that's what Ape was saying. Because I know I've played with some of these PSK modes, maybe this one. And 31 is a hell of a lot slower than 63.
Oh, you think
But
it's
look
a
at that,
baud
they've
rate
got
or something?
63F, 63 fast.
I don't
I
I
think it's the
it's-
number
I
of
think
symbols.
It's a baud rate or a symbol rate or something. I think it's symbol
It's probably
rate.
symbol
yeah,
rate,
Chuck.
yeah.
Yeah,
But it's probably the F is for faster, not fast.
maybe. Or freaking slow, possibly.
right.
And a lot of these, and this is what's kind of interesting, and probably why I didn't go down the rabbit hole then. A lot of these are one-on-one chat modes, right? They're not.
Keyboard to keyboard.
Yeah, they're
Right.
keyboard.
They're actually multi-op chat. So if you go into PSK, like all 4 of us could take turns sending, but we couldn't all send at the exact same time.
Right. Right. So you can have a group chat without the phone buzzing every 3 seconds. And then when Chuck keys up an hour and a half later on the conversation you're done with, then you'd be like, what the hell is that?
Here we go. We got a good question here from GLO SEC, and he says, for it to be considered digital, shouldn't it send packets like it happens in LAN?
It
So,
needs to
like-
send a uniform encoding.
Yeah, like your mouse that plugs in via USB into your key to your computer is digital. right? So it uses pulse width modulation to send a digitally encoded signal, right? Or if I'm talking crazy, I'm fine with it. There's no packet there. Maybe there
Yeah.
is. Is there packets in there? It says in groupings, right?
So
But
your
it's not the
computer,
packet.
like when you type on your keyboard or when you use any type of input method or when a program loads something into RAM, it's not loading a packet by definition. The packets usually have some type of encoding underneath of them. So a packet is made up of multiple bits of information.
Well, packet
which would
has a
be-
header telling
Yeah.
you what it
So
is,
so
right?
as an example, when I call CQ, I'm giving you a blast of information that tells you that I'm looking for someone to respond, anybody, or someone specific to respond. If I do like CQ POTA, I'm looking for someone who's trying to hunt POTA. If I do CQ DX, I'm looking for someone who's trying to, be a distance away from me and communicate with me. Then I tell you my call sign, and then I tell you that my transmission's over, so that you then know that I've sent it, what I'm looking for, and that I'm done and it's your turn. And then you send that packet, that envelope of information back. But a packet is another level on the OSI model above digital.
Yep.
It's more structured too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dennis.
Adam
Thanks,
Dennis.
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 Very
It's
nice,
interesting,
gentleman.
Dennis.
Haven't seen him in a minute.
I thought he
Thank you,
had
Simon.
absconded by the authorities.
Well, you never know. I mean, he is sketchy.
Looking for him. Doesn't go to any of his usual meetings anymore, from what I hear.
Maybe he's going to other
Meeting
kinds of
places.
meetings. Yeah.
Right.
Under the bridge, behind the dumpster, something like that.
In a van down by the river.
Right. Getting the government cheese. So, I mean, that's just, it's an interesting thing to me. I've never sat down and played with all these modes. I know I did some of the keyboard to keyboard chat. RTTY is keyboard to keyboard chat, right? Basically.
I've never used it. I have no idea.
I've used it. I think it's keyboard kind of deal. It's been so long. I mean, it was one of the first things I played with because I found out the 7300 would decode RTTY, and I started watching it, going, "Ooh, words."
We can complain about modes. What about JSA call?
I don't know anything about that.
What do you want to argue about it?
I'm just going to go with a blanket. I don't like it.
Okay, well, I can't argue with that one. I was going to say pick a position, then I'll pick the opposite position.
I'll pick the position when it came out. Everybody's like, "This is the prepper stream. This is and all the clickbait crap that came out around how great it was. Is it even supported any longer? Like, are they still making modifications and updates to the code base?
Oh yeah, it's actually pretty widely used.
That's a
thought it was a dead-
standalone program, right?
It is. I thought it was
Yes.
a dead mode at this point.
You need the JSA call program to go with it.
Now, doesn't ACK use that a lot?
Of course.
I thought
a
he
prepper.
did. Yeah, he's
Way
prep
smart,
forward.
Jason. Come on.
I think he used it at one point. I don't think he's used it that much now, though. But
So-
that's right, Dennis.
That's right, Bill.
But I just did not like it.
If Ape don't use it, it must be a dead mode.
It's dead. It's dead to him.
Right, JSA calls dead to me.
And LC said he likes JS8 call. So is it slow?
It's super
LC.
slow.
Is it?
It can be slow. They do have faster modes depending on band conditions, but JSA call has a couple of things. It's using the basic WSJTX FT8 style of communication, but then he's taken it and expanded it a lot farther. So I could actually, like, if I didn't have a direct path to Ape, for example, I could relay through Jim over to Ape, and Jim's radio would just handle the relay automatically as part of
Okay.
a feature of the software. And Jim doesn't
Totally
need to
like
be present. He
Messtastic.
doesn't need to see the message and then go, yes, I'll forward this. No, I won't forward this because I don't like Ape or TO today, or whatever the case may be. You can leave, bulletin style messages to be received by somebody later on. You can ping people and see what the path is between you and them. So it's got some extra features to it besides just, search and pounce, which is actually pretty nice.
Well, you can
I mean-
create semi-privatized groups, right? And then like communicate with like when you go into JSA call,
Yes.
there's at the top of it you have these different bars, if I remember correctly, where you have like a general broadcast, a broadcast to a particular person, or a broadcast to a group that contains more than one of your like a chat group on Discord.
So it's like a packet BBS kind of setup. I mean,
Yeah.
you're saying it does store and forward. right? So we could do FidoNet over JS8 call.
I guess. I don't know.
Right, Bill?
They're both old. Oh, Bill.
Was Bill talking? Is
Bill's-
Bill talking mess in there?
Bill's sassing a little bit.
Only if you can understand what he's saying.
I understand what he's saying.
Being
But
clever.
he's not talking
over
about
there.
you. That's why.
No, I know. Shut up.
You
I'm
don't
still mad
see-
about
David,
that.
Bill.
Steve still heard about that ATOS.
Shut up, Jim.
I'm heard about the ATOS too. I ain't got no ATOS. Joe Brett ain't got no ATOS. Ain't neither.
I
one
ain't
of
got
us
no
happy.
ATOS.
But
Ain't
Joe
nobody
Brett
get-
gets what he
I hear
deserves.
all the places have plenty of them right now. They're in stock. Just buy one.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, Joe Brett
Best
is a
price
hand. He's
HRO
cheap.
and gigaparts.
Dennis is correct.
Well, share it.
The
tacit
power of
agreement on
JS8
frequency.
call.
Go ahead, Steve.
The power of JS8 call is the tacit agreement on frequency and the timing of the messaging. There are tons of better modes, but we don't know when others are using them. And that's actually the magic that makes FT8 work also, is that your clock is synchronized and I know when you're sending, where you're sending, and how you're sending. And that's like 99% of the battle.
Dennis sounds like a Kool-Aid drinker.
And ham radio with K0BF. Let's not forget about the ultimate SSTV. That's right.
Yeah.
I have done that a couple times, and the only
I
thing
want to
I
do
ever
more of it, but I just never do.
all I see is a lot of terrible pics that looks like they came off a Commodore 64 of some girl
You
in
need-
a bikini
you need a
leaning
better
against
radio.
a car.
Yeah,
And
you
it-
need a better radio.
Again, nothing wrong with the
Bad
radio.
grounds.
Lon wants to know what's the main thing that goes wrong with an ATAS. Friendship.
Bad grounds. Bad grounds. That's what.
Jim's
It's the
lost
worst
two
thing
friends
for it.
over this.
No, Joe Brett's happy. I sent him money. He was
You just lost
financially
out then,
made
Jim.
He was financially made whole. I've lost out too. No, neither one of us are happy. Being
Andy's the only
happy-
one that made out on this.
Did you file a claim with the post office?
I did. Actually, UPS. I filed a claim. I gave Joe Brett a package deal, and we're not going to talk financial specifics here, but I gave Joe Brett the Public
Shady.
Safety Bro package deal on the 891 and the ATOS. 891 came from my Memphis trip, and the ATOS I got from other Andy, who was sitting back laughing that he has disrupted.
He's the
This
only one
show
that's
so
whole in
much.
this whole thing.
That's right. He's got money, bastard. I don't even know if there's
you know
an
what?
ATOS in the
You know what?
box.
I'm
There
not so
could have
sure
been.
about that. I would like to know what you paid Andy and what Joe Brett paid you.
We're
Because
not
I'm
talking
wondering
about
if,
that on this. We're not. Nope.
because I'm wondering if there's some flim-flammery there. Like Andy probably gave you the bro price, and then you probably stuck it to Joe Brett.
Nope. Compared
Well,
to
of course you
the
did.
compared to what an ATOS cost brand new, Andy gave me the bro price, a serious bro price.
Yeah, and I'm wondering how much of a discount Joe Brett
Joe
got over
Brett,
there.
Joe Brett, you need to go do some math, son.
He'd
and
been
Joe Brett-
flim-flammed.
Joe
got
Brett
done
got the
dirty.
public safety bro price on the combo pack of the 891 and the ATOS.
So you had to sweeten the deal with a little bit of extra equipment.
No,
there.
I had him once. I said I've got an 891.
ain't got
I'm
no
going to
extra
sell. Joe
equipment.
Brett was like, "Oh hell yeah!"
Well, we're all going to be in Dayton, so we can just look at the receipts there and get it all sorted out.
Ain't no
right.
receipts, no paper trail.
289 on eBay right now.
289. That's actually
Mhm.
more than I paid other Andy for it.
Trickle up economics.
Trickle up
Yeah,
economics.
if you want to get an
that's right.
ATAS, get it on eBay from Japan. It's the same antenna.
That's what this
You
is.
get a better deal on it.
Is that one?
Shop
Is that the same
Japan.
firmware? Is that the same firmware on
Yes,
it?
same firmware. Yep, original OEM firmware.
Marvin said he had a problem with his ATOS.
Like a degraded signal because of the coil?
No, he broke his whip.
Oh, well. That's not the ATOS's fault, right?
You show me a 40-meter vertical antenna that you can mount on your car that's going to not break,
I'm not complaining about it.
that isn't coil loaded.
LC is just saying you need to be thicker, Marvin. Girth is the key.
Right, like a soup can.
65-foot whip.
Right.
I've run 102 inch on my on mine. It's not
So what are some other? What are some? There's
ATAS.
a couple other programs out there that do digital over HF. Steve, we did one or two of them on Nuggets.
Yeah, yeah. There's VerAC. There's
Free DV.
Free
Is that-
Chat. Free DV is another one. There's a new one out called Long Chat. We need to try.
Okay.
I
a
wish
ton
that
of
these
out there.
people, instead of being like, we're inventing our own, would all work together and just make one good one.
Mhm.
I can't
I know
argue
why
with him
they
on that
don't.
one. I totally agree.
What's the fun in that, man?
We have, I mean, just looking through that list, right? How many freaking
It's too
modes
many.
are there?
It's too many.
It's like, Ape, I'm going to meet you at 3 p.m. on PSK 64 with 2-minute timings when the moon is full in February. Neither one of us going to remember that.
Right.
And Ver AC, that was another one. And I guess you could consider WinLink a digital mode as well, right?
Yep.
And what they're calling digital modes is because these are sending audio, some kind of encoded audio signal over HF. And that's what makes them digital, Steve, since you were arguing mostly about CW earlier.
What makes it digital is that it's a uniform encoding method, and then on top of that, it turns into a packet of that uniform encoding that can then be decoded on the other side.
Okay. But it's not just sending a 1 and a 0.
It's sending lots of ones and zeros
Lots
that
of
make up
1s and 0s.
the packet. Yeah,
If I'm using a scrambler on VHF, is that digital?
depends on what kind of scrambler
Depends on
you're using.
what
If you're
kind of
using
scrambler,
a digital
yeah.
scrambler, yeah.
I mean, if you take your Baofeng and put it in crypto mode, it's
Scrambler
probably just
mode.
doing voice inversion or something,
Yeah,
which is
you can
not.
almost still hear it.
Yeah,
But is that a digital mode?
not voice inversion. Well, I don't know.
Well, why not? Because it's got a DAC in there, right?
Yep. I don't know.
Well, no, the DAC would be digital to analog conversion, or the
Right, because-
ADC, analog to digital conversion. But the scrambler is frequency changing.
Right, because it's taking your voice and it's capturing your voice digitally and then converting it to analog for the transmission state, right? So like your HF radio works the exact same way. It's an analog sound that's going over the airwave.
Are we still talking about the scrambler function?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, the scrambler's not digital. So I said it earlier, everything is analog. Even digital is analog at its most basic. Everything
Right.
reverts back to analog. And of course, Tom had to argue with me again. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. But we mean it. Tio doesn't.
And then the nice thing about a lot of the digital stuff is if you want to play radio and you don't feel like talking on 80 meters and hearing about Bubba's gout or his wife's operation on her lady bits or whatever, the digital modes to me are kind of relaxing. I can sit here and watch TV or read something and play FT8 at the same time. And I enjoy it.
Well, I'm not trying to talk to people. I know that sounds terrible, but
I agree. It does sound terrible. You're an inhuman bastard. No,
I've
I'm the
done enough
same
talking.
way. I don't want to get into some long conversation and share the weather data with everybody, right? I don't care about your health problems.
My favorite thing is the
Political
2 meter
affiliations.
net. The 2 meter nets where people talk about weather. We're all in the same weather.
Right. It ain't
not always.
significantly different over there.
Not always.
Right,
Not always.
right there. Down here by
You
the
can-
highway, it's a half a degree hotter.
You can get on a 2 meter net here, and it could be all of California. It's part of Nevada, so it's not always that way.
Well, see, that's linked. That's not 2 meters.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
using
that's
the
It's not
internet,
real
Chuck.
radio, Chuck.
That ain't real radio,
It is.
Chuck.
Yeah, it is.
It's RF
I'm using a
linked. You can
radio.
RF link.
It's not.
That's another argument we can have. Is these
Is RF linked
hotspot
digital?
mode radios going over the internet? Are they
not
still?
hotspot,
Is that
is it?
still radio?
Well, there's through packets, right? Once it goes over the internet.
Once you key it up out of that radio, it's packetized until it lands on Ape's ears, right? I guess. So it's digital.
There we go.
And he just said that without taking sides in the argument. That's my boy Hollywood.
He did.
And he
did.
probably said it without taking a breath too.
Audio modulation to be classified as digital, it must have fixed points, frequency, amplitude, and phase that are repeatable, and each point signifies a 1 or a 0. I agree with that. I don't understand exactly all of that, but I agree with it.
So that probably takes the scrambler out of it.
Probably. Well, I think we've blogged this category enough. And there's a lot of interesting things in digital HF. It's not just D-Star, the most cursed of modes, followed by DMR, the second most cursed of modes.
I've talked a lot about, well, not a lot. I've talked a couple times about what they call propagation hams, and they're ham radio people who get into amateur radio specifically to use things like Whisper to study propagation effects of solar activity across the globe. And I played around with Whisper a little bit. I mean, it's pretty cool. Where I think it would really shine is if you were doing like in-depth antenna analysis, comparing antennas against each other. But even if I use one antenna for an hour and then switch over to another one and try to compare results, it's probably not in a fair comparison because of shift in
Right, band condition
propagation,
changes. Yep.
You do.
Yeah.
You
it
can't even
sometime.
compare two antennas at the exact same time sitting next to each other because they affect each other.
Right.
Well, yeah, and I think Whisper is kind of cool. I don't like FT4. I do like FT8 quite a bit. JSA call. I'm trying to remember if I used any other ones.
I have never even loaded. I'll have to get JS8 call.
Eh,
Never even played with it.
eh.
As long as I don't have to talk to anybody, I don't mind typing at them, but God, I don't want to talk to them. Well, I mean, that's why I do POTA hunting, right? Or I'll answer
Right,
those
right.
contest people. Yes. The WT1W59, number 642. Thank you. Go.
Goodbye.
Go
Goodbye.
away. Yeah. Yeah.
Contests are great.
Yeah. And POTA is not a contest, but the exchange is blessedly short.
Yeah. James, your QDX will do JS8 call. Hello, Tony.
Hey,
James
Tony.
said he's never made a contact on JS8 call.
Well, everybody goes on there and does the heartbeat thing.
Just to say you're awake, I guess, is what that does.
Well, I think
Yeah.
you
Your
emit a
station is
heartbeat,
available.
and then other stations that can hear you will respond back that they heard you.
Yeah. I don't know. It's, you know, we've all said it 100 times. Ham radio is the hobby of 1,000 hobbies, literally, if not more. And you could spend months just going through all those digital modes and finding out. You know, I'd love to find some other ones that are interesting and that there's people on. That's the biggest thing that I found too. And especially when I started, I'm like, oh, what is this mode? I don't see nothing. I don't hear nothing. Am I in the wrong? Is this a time thing? Am I in the wrong frequency?
Wrong frequency. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I got into HF was specifically to do FT8.
Really?
Yeah, because I had been trucking along as a technician and really didn't have any interest in HF. Like, I mean, I thought it was cool and stuff like that, but it wasn't until I started to learn more and more about FT8. But that was definitely the catalyst for me wanting to get into it and then learn more about propagation and antennas and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Well,
at
go
work,
ahead.
I talk all day long, right? I don't have any desire to come home, fire up the radio and talk.
right.
But I will fire it up, and like you were saying, it's almost like a meditation to sit there and
Yes.
do some FT8.
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching Ape or TO or Chuck on YouTube, and I'm playing FT8. I'm at work playing FT8. Whatever. Well, I have to be there. That's work.
Yeah. You have to actually
It's,
show up. Huh?
it's work sitting there, not throwing a fit, right?
That's right. Calling everybody stupid. But yeah, it's just an easy thing to do. And the amount of modes is insane. And, you know, everybody has their favorite mode, I guess. And I know there's, like we talked about, KM4ACK loves his JS8 call, and a whole bunch of the prepper types do. I'm not sure why exactly. Do you know? Because it's
built as a prepper communication protocol.
Because it has that store and forward, and it has the relay, and it has groups, and
Okay.
it can be used in a tactical way.
the BBS functionality, basically.
Yeah.
I wonder
Yeah.
if the military uses it.
They probably got their own that cost them $10 million to have deployed. And LOD, good morning. Bon matin. Vera and Vera FM are digital modes. WinLink and Vera AC are examples of applications that use those modes to send and receive digital data over RF.
I would believe that.
Sure. Having never played with any of them, I can't really speak to any of that. So
Is WinLink still a thing though? I mean, I know it is, but I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
but isn't everybody moving away from WinLink to Vera?
WinLink runs on top of Vera.
So it must
And
have run
other
on top of
modes.
something before that.
It ran on AX25 packet. It runs on Vara, and it runs on a bunch of other signaling modes as well.
But you can use them. They all interoperate. Is that right?
Well, I can only talk to you on Vara if you're listening on Vara. I can't talk to you directly on AX25. I can send a message through Jim on AX25, and then Jim has a Vara version also, and you can talk to him on Vara to get the message that I sent you. WinLink is like Exchange server. It's a mail
Right.
system. So, however you get to your side of the mail server and however I get to my side of the mail server is irrelevant.
okay.
I'm talking about Pactor.
It's on the test, man.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. Which is just ridiculous. Although the new
Absolutely.
tests have come out, I think that they are more digital.
Well, I mean, it's a
focus.
shit test, so they got to put questions on it to keep the riffraff out. Otherwise, we just call it CB.
I just don't understand
It's the same thing with the drone pilots test, where I've got to learn runway markers at an airport that I'm not allowed to fly at in an aircraft that can't use them.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Way to
not
go,
making fun. I literally had a general reach out to me asking about frequency allocations on the 2 meter band and asked if 146.52 was a 2 meter frequency. And I'm not making fun of the person. I'm making fun of the tests that they had to take that allowed them to be a general to transmit 1500 watts. Right. And they don't understand frequencies and how they relate to the meter designations on there. What it proves is that the tests are not very worthwhile.
There's just too much. I mean, the extra test is 700 questions, and you only get 50 of them. And out of that, you have to. The way that it's designed isn't the way that it used to be designed. It used to be that you would join a club, and then you would learn people, and you would have learn from people, and you would have Elmers, and you would be able to use the club call or someone else's call sign to practice, and then you would start to like gel these concepts in your head. But now you just get a book, read the book, memorize the questions, and pass the test.
Yeah, it's
Well,
crazy.
I think that's the case on a lot of certification kind of tests anyway. Same thing.
Sure. Well, it's like when MCSEs were real popular, right? Like
Yes.
everybody would just take you could get what were they, cheat sheets? What were you
Yep.
could buy them?
I don't
Yep.
remember. I never did that one. Maybe. I don't remember it. Maybe I
think they were
did.
called cheat sheets. And people
Exam
would just-
cram.
Exam
there's all
cram.
kinds of
That's
stuff.
the one. Yeah.
That's the one you
And-
used?
I never had an MCSE that I remember.
Me, I never did either.
Maybe I did. I don't remember. I know I had a CCNA.
After I got my CNA and Novell shat the bed, I'm done.
I read the writing on the wall on that one, and I said, I
Yeah.
am not. No, Novell is out.
Oh, it was super popular. I mean, I was
Yes.
in the forest cutting down trees and getting the tests, and then Microsoft took over. And then Microsoft started their test. I'm like, yep, I can see where this is going.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Cisco started the CCNA, their certification track about the same time, I think, too. Which was, I mean, based on Cisco.
The cash
gear, but it
grab
was-
is all it is. Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. CISSP is a huge cash grab. You got to pay $125 a year to have it. You have to have, 40 hours of Con Ed a year to be able to pay the $125 maintenance fee. And if you let it lapse and have to retake the test is like $800 now for CISSP. And it's stupid. All of those things are basically cash grabs. And honestly, and I say this with love, people, but the ham license is a perfect example of what any cert test is like. Know the material to pass the test. Bob's your uncle. You may not know how to network dick, but you passed the test. And it's the same for hams. And because this is a hobby of 1,000 hobbies, there's so much stuff in it. That test isn't going to even, go a half an inch deep on stuff. Like Ape and Chuck are, way deep in antennas, and I'm not. Does this antenna work on the band I want? Good enough. I'm done. This is not my jam. And the ham test is even shallower because they actually publish the answers.
Well, I don't have a problem with them publishing the answers because I think it's one of the ways that you get to learn if you understand the material or not. But the The thing is I don't believe the content of the test prepares people to be good at being an amateur radio operator. That is something that you learn over time and build experience and stuff like that.
Right.
I really think it should be more focused on legal components and safety, and really that's it. Like questions about Echolink for real, like that's what we're actually asking people.
Right.
That's not even transmitting RF.
It's
I
an
know
app.
that I know that there's some repeaters that repeat the Echolink traffic and all that, but it just seems crazy to me.
Yeah, it's just an app. It's,
I'm getting ham shamed over here by our buddy Dave Pearson. I have used FL Rig, if that counts. I've had it FL Digi installed. I don't recall ever using it for anything though.
honestly don't think I have much. Probably to try one of those weird modes, and all it did was send me K's, T's, and E's, so I gave up and moved on.
Right.
But I mean, none of those tests ever prepare you for doing it. And honestly, the paramedic test, the national paramedic test, covers stuff that you're never going to do. Do I need to know what a white cell count is in a patient? Nope. Is he bleeding? Cover it up. Is he breathing? Breathe for him.
Well, it's
know?
if you pick somebody up and they're bleeding out, you're not going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's count the white blood
I need a
cells.
CBC and a Chem 7 stat.
Right.
Let's
It's,
get
hey,
an
stop
MRI
the
and a
bleed.
bone scan. That's right. And it's a prime example of it. And when I was teaching, the kids always complained about it. When are we ever going to use this in EMS? Never. But it's in the book. We got to talk about it. And it's the same kind of thing with Pactor and Echolink and all that. Anyway, all right, we've devolved into old man ranting, I think. Before we go, there is something I wanted to share with y'all, if I can find it again.
Now a word from today's sponsor. Coffee and Ham Radios is a group of 4 hams that want to make your ham radio adventure better. We stream 2 days a week on YouTube, Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Time and Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. We also offer 4 antenna kits that are supplied with everything you need to build the antenna correctly. We believe that every ham should build their own antenna at some point in their ham radio adventures. There is nothing like getting a 5.9 report back from a fellow ham on an antenna that you have built. All of our kits start with a high-quality winder and are made for
Nice
portable
nails,
use.
Chuck.
The process is multi-jet fusion, and the winder is done in nylon. Also included
Thanks.
in
I
every
spend money
kit
on
is
those.
100 feet of high-quality silicone wire. Our first and most popular antenna is the Apollo. This is a in-fed half-wave, good for 10 to 40 meters. No need to buy extra wire just to get 40 meters. The Apollo is rated for 100 watts SSB and 50 watts digital. Our next antenna is the Mercury. This is a linked dipole for 40, 20, and 10, but you can do whatever bands you want, but we give you the measurements for those bands. Then we have the Aries. This is an in-fed random wire antenna that needs a tuner. With a choke at the winder, you should be able to tune most of the ham bands. The advantage of this antenna is that it can be made shorter for those times when space isn't the best. Now last but really not least is our Poseidon. This is a multi-band vertical that also requires a tuner. We took a lot of flack about the toroid we use because we use something that most bands can be tuned with your internal tuner on your radio. Come to find out, the toroid we use is actually more efficient than the usual toroid most use for this antenna. After bidding all of our kits, there shouldn't be any hesitation in wrapping a toroid, which is what stops most from building their own antennas. If you have any problems, you can join the Toads Discord. If you post a picture of your build, we will be able to help you get it right. We also have videos that you can watch showing each of the antennas being built. Post in Cartena or Coffee and Ham Radios in Toads. If any of our kits are out of stock, make sure to check back the next day. We are good at adding kits when needed. Links for all this will be in the description of this video. Thank you.
Very professional.
Thank you.
I
Thank
mean,
you very
that-
much.
Money, that voice, it made me want to buy an antenna, and those hands, simply divine.
I just ordered one.
Chuck, show us those hands again.
There they are. This
He's
is
a good
why
man.
I think I didn't do it. Like I beat myself up yesterday doing the garden stuff for Kathy. But
But that's an older trailer that you put together.
yeah, months ago.
before the Chronos,
Just-
right? Because Chronos
Because
wasn't in there.
we've brought out the chokes and the Chronos since then, so I've got to have to redo it, I guess.
And
That
speaking of
works.
antennas, we have everything in stock at the moment.
Oh, man, but Apollos are almost gone.
Well, the
I know.
chokes are probably almost gone too, right?
Yeah, we sold 6 to somebody the other day. And
that was my man Jonathan.
and Jim's like, "Can you get 6 of those in one box?" I go, let me try.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like, I'm not running the label
I
until I
did.
even know what we could ship this in. Chuck might have to go buy a
I
box
have
of
other
toilet paper or
boxes,
something.
but I try not to use them if we don't have to.
Right.
Keep the cost down.
All right,
Right.
I'm hitting the button.
Yeah,
Thanks,
do it.
everybody.
Are you hitting the button?
Thanks,
Hitting the
y'all.
button.
Thanks,
Have a good
everybody.
one.
Buy your antennas now.